Show, the first episode of the month of October, the second quarter of the Rashad Show begins. I have a special guest. His name is Weldon from Florida State quarterback. One of the great quarterbacks to play at Florida State. He joins me live on the phone. Welcome to the Rashad Show, Weldon.
Rashad, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be on here.
All right, man, let's get into it. Where you originally from? Where were you born?
I was born in Americus, Georgia, which is just outside of Plains, Georgia, home of Jimmy Carter. Americus, Georgia, home of Dan Reeves, Jan Gailey, and I think that's it.
All right. So growing up in Georgia, who were your role models? Who were the people that influenced you to be what you are, like for your influential person?
Well, I moved from there when I was 5, so I would have to say my dad absolutely is my biggest hero. Had the biggest impact on me, because he told me I had a dream. I grew up, when I was 8, we moved to Tallahassee, so from there it became, so many people. My dad told me the dream could accomplish anything. And I have to say, a guy named Phil Young was my childhood. He was 13, I was 8 or 9. He was a heck of an athlete. We lived in apartments, had the best games ever. Way better than Florida State games. Best games ever in the apartment complex. Phil had braces, walked a little pigeon-toed, and I just wanted to be like Phil.
Okay.
But after that, I'm going to have to say probably Brad Johnson and Coach Weldon.
Okay.
Just, Coach was unbelievable.
Okay, so next question is, other than football, were there other sports that you want to, play other than football?
Yeah. I love basketball. Basketball was probably my first love. But I was about to quit football, concentrate on basketball, and Vic Cully, who I left off that list earlier, definitely a man I looked up to and changed my life. He's my JV football coach. He says, Casey, take a look around. And how tall is your dad? His dad's about 6 foot. How many 6-foot white basketball players do you see play? Now think about playing quarterback. So I realized my chances are a lot higher in football, and it just wasn't as fun as basketball, but it was a lot more fun than baseball. I played baseball too, wasn't very good, but I'm so glad I played all 3.
Okay, all right, so other than Florida State, obviously that was your school that you went to, were there other schools that were recruiting you other than Florida State?
Yeah, I had Tennessee was my first offer, Georgia, Florida, I think, and Liberty University was one, and they were actually high on the list. If I didn't go to Florida State, I probably would have went to Liberty University. It's Jerry Falwell, who, in the Baptist religion is like the Pope. He called my mom, but luckily I had St. Bobby call mom and tell her that he takes care of her boy.
Okay, so who actually recruited you for Florida State? Was it Bobby Bowden or was it somebody else? It was just Bobby Bowden?
Brad Scott
Okay.
was the main recruiter.
Okay.
And Mark Rick was there. And Coach Bowden, he came to a couple of games.
Okay. All right, so your first year was in 1988, right? Your first year?
87. I got there in 87.
Okay.
And redshirted David Manis. Started QB then.
Okay. Okay. All right. So 88 is redshirted. So what I want to do is fast forward to your senior year, because that's the year you started. That's the only year you started, correct? Like that's the first year, starting. Was that year, correct?
Well, I took over for Brad Johnson. He started our junior year in 90. I took over for him in the first quarter of the Auburn game, and then I started every game after that, the rest of 90, and all of 91 when we were preseason #1 in the country.
Yeah, I want to get into, the 91 season, because that 91 season was a special season, even though you didn't win that championship, because, it's 30 years ago. I want to, talk about certain games from that season. We're going to start with, you was preseason #1, you played against BYU, you beat them 44-28. And the thing about that game is that BYU, a year before, had beat Miami, the preseason #1, 28-21 at BYU, so they facing another team from the state of Florida, ranked #1. You win 44-28. Talk about that performance to start the season.
Well, I remember, Ty Detmer won the Heisman, so we're playing the Heisman, previous year's Heisman winner. So that was definitely motivation for me personally. Every workout, was to outplay him. Luckily, Edgar Bennett decided to come back for senior year. So we had a nice package that featured him. He had some great catches down the middle of the field. He could just do it all. And his partner in crime in the backfield was Ann Lee. So, man, it was a heck of a backfield. But our speed was just too much. Our defense shut them down. About 28 points were late, I think. And I think I was done by the start of the fourth quarter. So we whipped them pretty good.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun. Kick off the season like that.
Yeah, because Ty Detmer, was the other quarterback on the other side, and the thing about that game, you threw 2 touchdowns, and you threw 268 yards passing, and Edgar Bennett had 3 short touchdowns, 3 yards, 2 yards, and 4 yards. Then you called a 4-yard pass from yourself. You threw a 4-yard pass to him. Yeah, you was up 35-14 in the third quarter. And the thing about this game is defensively, the defense of the Florida State Seminoles was able to only give up 229 yards passing. And coming to this game, Ty Detmer had threw for 300 yards passing in 24 straight games. So that was a streak that was snapped because of the Florida State defense. Let's talk about the Florida State defense.
Oh,
and that
yeah. Well, that defense had Marvin Jones, Kurt Carruthers, Terrell Buckley, Carl Simpson, Leon Fowler, John Davis, Harold McCord. I mean, loaded. We were loaded.
Okay, so I'm fast forward to the Michigan game. That was a big game. I remember that game because that game came out at 12 noon on ABC. I think Keith Jackson and Bob Greasy did that game. That was a big game because that was a true test even more. Even though you beat a ranked BYU team, you played number 3 Michigan, the future Heisman Trophy winner, was in it, obviously on Michigan, and Desmond Howard, Terrell Buckley guard against him. So talk about that game going into Ann Arbor. You put up a half 100. You beat them 51-31. Talk about that.
Most points ever scored there at that time, and may still be. But, man. Number 1, smash mouth, Big Ten football, first speed. And like you said, Rashad, one of the biggest memories I'll have and I was so thankful to be involved in, was a game that Keith Jackson called. I mean, man. To hear that guy call your name?
Yeah.
Oh, Nelly. We got a barn burner in Ann Arbor today. Casey Weldon. I mean, I was just like, that's the highlight. And, yeah, with all those great players, Elvis Kerback, Desmond, Terrell Buckland gets the party started with a pick six. So, jumps up into the stands. I say he did first leap. The Desmond comes right back, makes an unbelievable touchdown catch. It's 705,000 people. And probably next to that Florida game we'll talk about later. No, we won't talk about that. The 90s Florida game was huge. But that's probably my all-time highlight. And I got to say this. The probably equal to everything I've said so far. When we got home and get off the plane, usually there's buses waiting, you know, right on the plane, right on the tarmac. Get off the plane, get on the bus. Go to the dorm. This time, they said, no. We were going through the airport. We walked through the airport. There must have been 10, 15, 20 deep fans lined up all the way out to the parking lot. I'll never forget it. And if any of those fans are listening to this, thank you for being there. You make the kids feel pretty special. And it was just an amazing time.
Yeah, like I said, that was a very impressive performance in that game. Also, there was a Bobby Bowden. He had two trick plays in that game. A crocodile play that featured quarterback Charlie Ward. Flanked out to the left, then took long and you for a lateral from yourself and threw back to yourself. Ward threw it back to you for a 29-yard gain. And that set up a fake field goal by William Floyd. He was able to do that. And I just did what I wanted to do against, like I said, it was rare at that time for a Michigan team to give up that many points in Ann Arbor, and that was just a special performance.
It really was. Coach Bowden, he pulled a typical Coach Bowden play calling in that series that you just mentioned. I mean, he wasn't scared. He pulled it all out, and we took care of business.
Okay, the next week was an interesting game. This is the time where Syracuse was pretty good. Marvin Graves, the quarterback. They had Kadri Ishmael, the younger brother of Rocket Ishmael, and he was the missile. And you played them. They were ranked very high, in the top 15. And you beat them 45-14. Got off to a slow start because you were down 14-7. Kadri Ishmael eluded 3 tacklers. He went 95 yards for a kickoff return, scored second touchdown in the game. So for the first time in 11 games, your squad had found yourself trailing. But you were able to bounce back and win 46-14. You had a big game for 347 yards, 3 touchdowns, including a 50-yard touchdown pass to Shannon Baker. So you definitely dominated that game. Just talk about that win against a quality opponent at the time, Syracuse. Hello?
Rashad, sorry I lost you there for just a second. Yeah, that game, I think we started a slow start. We're coming off of the Michigan game, such a we had played Syracuse before that. I don't think we played them my junior year. So we knew they were, knew we had to play, but defense, they were so good. I mean, shut them down, kickoff return, you can't count that against them. So really, they had that game 7 points. And it was a rainy day. Never getting a touchdown pass to Shannon when he caught it, slid 10 yards in the end zone. Kind of a nasty day to play, but we got it done.
Okay, so I'll fast forward to the other game on October 26th. You play LSU. You win that game, 27-16. Talk about that win in Tiger Stadium.
Well, that you look back, and that's probably, I would say that's the game that cost us the national championship. I lost my left tackle, Kevin Mancini. That game, Robbie Baker for center took a gash somehow on his knee. He was out. It took a late comeback to win that one. So losing Kevin Mancini in that LSU game, which, I mean, what a great stadium, what a great environment to play in. But losing him in that game is going to come back to haunt us when we play Miami later on. But I'll never forget William Floyd. We had a field goal, an extra point. I think it was a triple block. Right before halftime, and he ran the guy down, caught him about the 5-yard line, knocked him out of bounds, saving a 2-point conversion for them. And just, part of the commitment and the fight that we had in those days at Florida State.
Okay, so yeah, you win against LSU 27-16. Now the game of the year, number 1 versus number 2. Obviously, it was preseason number 1 all year. You faced the Miami Hurricanes, number 2 team in the country. Entering this game, Miami had won 7 consecutive games in a row against top-ranked opponents, and this was something new for Florida State in the sense I don't think at that time before this game that the program played against a number 1 versus number 2 kind of matchup. So Miami, they had experience knowing what it takes to beat a number 1 team. So talk about the preparation aspects. Was it just a normal, week leading up to the Miami game? Because obviously there's a lot of hype, a lot of attention. Talk about that week leading up to that game against Miami. Casey Weldon. Casey, I can't hear you. Casey Weldon? I have some difficulties. I can't hear him very well. Casey Weldon, I can't hear you clearly. Can you hear me? Casey Weldon? Right now I have some technical difficulties. I can't hear my guest, Casey Weldon. He's breaking up on his end. Casey Weldon? Casey Weldon? Yeah, there's some technical difficulties. I asked him a question about the Miami Florida State game, and he started breaking up on his end on his phone. So, let's see if he can hear me again. Casey Weldon, can you hear me? Casey Weldon? Yeah, I can't hear him. There's some technical difficulties going on with his phone. So, I don't know what to do, but right now we have an interview with, just hung up, so got a call back. Yeah, I have Casey Weldon on. Great interview, great start to the interview, but there's some technical difficulties on his end. I wasn't able to hear him when I asked him about the Miami Florida State game that was played 30 years ago. He's calling back, so hopefully it can be straightened out this time. He had to know what he said, so let's see what happens. Casey Weldon. Yeah, Casey, you was breaking up when I asked you about the Florida State Miami game. I didn't hear everything you said. You was breaking up on your end, so you had to repeat what was said because I couldn't hear you very well because you was breaking up on your phone.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I'm trying to. I'm in Colorado. It's so spotty here.
Okay.
You hear me now?
Yeah, I can definitely hear you clearly. Yeah, you have to repeat what you said about about the game against Miami.
Okay. Yeah, not sure where I lost you, but so Miami, was it? You asked me if it was a normal week, and Miami never a normal week. It was the Florida game is always a rivalry. It's hate. It's a different kind of game. Miami was a respect game. You had a lot of respect for those guys over there. So many first rounders, so many great players. And you knew that game meant the national championship. Every year that I was there from 87 on, that game meant the national championship possibilities. So, but we lost LSU. I mean, we did not have Kevin Mancini, great left tackle, and we had the ball inside the 10 four times that game and came away with 16 points. And you just can't do that. It was a game that they weren't fancy. We weren't fancy. We just lined up and said, man, oh man, let's play football. Which is kind of ironic. So many of those games came down to a daggum kicker. But it did, and it didn't work out for us. Had a couple plays that could have made a big difference, but we didn't make that field goal, and I don't blame the kicker. I don't blame Jared Thomas at all. He made 3 others. It was crazy that year, Rashad. The first year they moved the goalpost in. They moved the goalpost in tighter, a yard and a half on either side, and it just missed by a foot. So it just wasn't meant to be, I guess.
Yeah, the running game was definitely a factor. Stephen McGuire, the fullback for Miami, had 142 yards and a touchdown in the first quarter on 22 carries. And you get field goals instead of scoring touchdowns. The thing about that game, you was up 16-7. You had control of the game. Defensively, you did an outstanding job. It's just that, like you said, you kick field goals. You had a chance inside the 10. You said 4 times, and they still wasn't able to get, the touchdown. Because again, on that final drive, the thing that stands out also is Terrell Buckley. He was guarding Horace Copeland. You could have stopped him when he was up 16-10 on 4th down. That was a big play too, because Jim Toretta threw a quick pass to Copeland. He was able to get the first down on that final drive for Miami. So that was a huge play, because if you make that stop defensively, you win the game 16-10. Then you get the ball back, you go down the field. I think he was trying to get the ball to Terrell. I forgot his first name, and it was a pass interference. Ryan McNeil, face guarded him, and you had it deep into their territory. But looking back on that game, do you think that you should have went to the end zone instead of settling for a field goal?
No. We had a Mark Rigg guy. He called a great play. He called 68. It was all go. He knew they were going to come with a blitz and be 1-on-1. And I got a picture. The football is sitting right on Terrell's face mask in the end zone. So he makes that catch. We win the game, and we're moving to Florida to win to go play for national championship. Lonnie Johnson, I think he had a drop. I could have thrown the ball a little bit harder, a little bit better of a throw. He walks in the end zone. T-Buff, doesn't. He stops him on that hitch. But it's what's happened though. You play in those big games like that, you can always look back. It's just 2 or 3 plays that would have made all the difference in the world.
Okay, so let's move on to the Florida game. The Florida game, you lose that game 14-9. Was that like a hangover or from the Miami loss because you only scored 9 points? Talk about that game.
Well, they had a great defense. Don't take anything away from them. Their defensive line led by Brad Culpepper, Darren Mickle. Can't remember, but I think their entire defensive line played in the NFL. For some time, and then we had a beat up offensive line. We had 2 guys out that game, 2 offensive linemen out that game, and I took a beating. I think we threw it 52 times. I think I got hit about 48 times that game. It was hot. We had, our depth and offensive line was hurting. One of our offensive linemen was throwing up in the huddle. He was so hot, and it was a tough. That was a tough loss. Yeah, and it was a hangover. I remember ripping a couple of guys that week of, still pounding, still playing, not practicing hard. Like the season was over. And you know what? For us, it was. Our whole season was about the national championship, and we didn't have a conference title to play for. We'd already been to, plenty of January 1st bowl games. So we weren't playing for a whole lot that game. It was, the win that definitely out of our sails, and we still, drive down at the end of the game and still had a chance to win it. So I think we played pretty damn good considering all the circumstances.
Okay, so that was your last game in the regular season. So now let's fast forward to the Heisman Trophy presentation. Obviously, Desmond Howard won the Heisman. You finished second to it was a landslide because you had only 503 votes, and Desmond Howard had 2,077 votes. So talk about that. Finishing second, running up to Desmond Howard. Like, if you will beat Miami, do you think that you would have won the Heisman, or not? Because Desmond had a great year that year. But talk about that. If you will beat Miami, that no 1 versus number 2.
I think he still would have won it. I think it would have, I wouldn't have been the largest margin ever if we'd have won. I think we would have had to beat Florida, the next week. So, you play what if, throw a game-winning touchdown drive, touchdown pass to beat Miami, and go in, and instead of 14-9, we score a touchdown to win late in the game and win 16-14. I would have never have lost as a starter. Those are the only 2 games I lost. It would have been, it'd have been a lot closer. I think he would have still won. He had some big time games, but what's funny is I did at the Heisman Trophy presentation. They asked us. Ty Detmer was there, Steve Emman, and we all had to signed a picture of Desmond Howard. Every time I signed it, I put 51-31 on there. So just a little reminder that he got the Heisman, but we won the game.
That's interesting. Yeah. So your final game in college was in the Cotton Bowl. Very low scoring game against Texas A&M. You win 10-2. Very low scoring game.
Yeah, let's all talk. Can we skip that game? We have to talk about that one. That was 4 interceptions.
You did.
Not a highlight.
Yeah. Okay, no problem. Yeah. All right. Let's move on to your.
But there was great players. There was great players in that game for sure. Really great players. They had the number 2 pick of the draft, Quentin Coryat at linebacker.
Yeah.
Eric Smith at corner. They were loaded. They had about 8 first-round picks on that defense, so we still pulled it out.
Okay, so now move on to your professional career. Going into this draft, the 1992 draft, talk about the expectations. Was you projected to be a first-round pick? Was you surprised that you slipped like you did to be drafted by the Eagles? Talk about that experience.
It was terrible. Should have been one of the greatest days of my life, and I thought I was going to be a late first, but definitely a second-round pick. So nothing happened. And in the second round, I watched Matt Blunden and Tony Sacca go ahead ahead of me. That was tough. It was tough to see. I got drafted by the Eagles. I don't know why they drafted me. I think management wanted me, but the coaches certainly did not. And I was fourth string that whole year, never dressed out for a game, and wound up getting cut the next year on the final cut. Luckily, Sam Weiss and the Tampa Bay Bucks picked me up. So I was in Tampa for 4 years. You know, my pro career is not great. Never got a chance to start a game, but I managed to get 8 years in and experienced some great teammates. Teammates with John Lynch, who just went in the Hall of Fame this year at the Bucks. And I closed out my career in the NFL. You know, the Redskins. I was Brad Johnson's backup, and we were a field goal away from playing in the National Conference to go to the Super Bowl. And to be on that team with Brad and watch him make Pro Bowl, it was a great year, great final year for me.
Also, in 2001, you played for the Birmingham Thunderbirds. Talk about that. Thunderbolts. Talk about that. The XFL.
Yeah, I was out of the league. I kept trying to get back in, and the XFL comes along. I was the second pick of the draft in that, and just had a ball. It was a great opportunity. We only, quarterbacks made 50,000. All other positions made 45. If we won the game, there was 100,000 that was split between the players. It was almost like being in college and getting paid a little bit to play. You know, guys room together. It was probably like going to Alabama or Florida. You got paid to play football. So it was just a lot of fun, and I got a chance to step in that huddle, call plays again, and run around and have some fun. So I had the best game of my career against Los Angeles, and I got hit from behind and had to wind up getting 6 screws put in my shoulder. So that ended my career. I did get a workout with the Rams the next 2 seasons, preseason. They had some injuries and had a workout with them, but I had 6 screws in my shoulder, couldn't quite get it done. But it was quite a ride.
Okay, Bobby Bowden, unfortunately passed away this past summer. Let's talk about the kind of coach he was to you personally and the kind of man he was to you personally. Talk about Bobby Bowden's impact on and off the field with yourself and the teams that you were on in Florida State.
Well, teams are unbelievable. I mean, Deion Sanders, Sammy Smith were the 2 biggest recruits that came in, and man, we had so many. You know, they were the 5 stars, but we had so many 3 stars that were solid, and that's what Coach Bowden did. Coach Bowden he could coach a superstar, and he could get the best out of that. That third 3-star guy. He cared about us. He took us to church. He was. I run my business like he taught me how. He put great people around him. I mean, the coaches that we had that came through there that he had coaching. Several went on to head coaching jobs, of course. And but he was smart. He brought in good people, let them do their job, and he just oversaw it. And he just didn't have any fear. He was such a so proud to say I played for Bobby Bowden.
Okay, thank you for your time, man. Thank you for coming on the Rashad Show. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Casey Weldon. Thank you so much.
Rashad, thanks for letting me relive the glory days.
All right, thank you so much. That's Casey Weldon, former quarterback of the Florida State Seminoles. Had great success, played for the great Bobby Bowden, and great to have him on. So, we'll take 4 music breaks so we come back with some college football analysis and picks of the week, as well as the NFL analysis and the picks of the week. This is the Rashad Show every single Saturday afternoon.